The winter wind cut through downtown Minneapolis like a blade, sending swirls of snow dancing under the streetlights. Robert Mitchell pulled his wool coat tighter as he stepped out of his office building, briefcase in hand. At 58, he'd built Mitchell Technologies from the ground up, and tonight marked the closing of their biggest deal yet. His team had already left to celebrate, but Robert had stayed behind, savoring the quiet satisfaction of success. As he walked toward his car, something caught his eye near the bus stop on the corner. A small figure huddled on the green bench, barely visible beneath a thin cream-colored coat. Robert slowed his pace. It was a child, a little girl, maybe 7 or 8 years old, with light brown hair falling across her face as she slept, curled up against the cold. His heart clenched. He looked around, but the street was empty. No parent, no guardian, just this child, alone in the freezing night. Robert approached slowly, not wanting to frighten her. As he drew closer, he could see snowflakes gathering on her worn coat, and her small hands were red from the cold. He crouched down beside the bench. "Sweetheart," he said softly. "Sweetheart, wake up." The little girl stirred, her eyes fluttering open, revealing tired blue eyes that seemed far too weary for someone so young. She looked at him with a mixture of fear and resignation. "It's okay," Robert said gently, keeping his voice calm. "I'm not going to hurt you." "My name is Robert." "What's your name?" She hesitated, then whispered, "Emma." "Emma. That's a beautiful name." He smiled warmly. "Emma, honey, where are your parents? Where's your family?" Her eyes filled with tears. "My mama, she's gone. She got sick last year." Her voice was barely audible. "My dad, he left after that. I've been staying with my aunt, but she said she can't keep me anymore. She said I eat too much and cost too much money." Robert felt something break inside his chest. He thought of his own daughter, Sarah, now grown and living in Boston with her own family. He couldn't imagine any child being cast aside like this. "How long have you been out here, Emma?" "I don't know. 2 days, maybe. I tried to stay warm on the bus when it comes, but they make me get off." Robert stood up, his decision made in an instant. "Come with me," he said, extending his hand. "You're not spending another minute out here." Emma looked at his hand uncertainly. "Where are we going?" "Right now, we're going to get you warm and fed. Then we're going to figure out how to help you. Is that okay?" Something in his eyes must have convinced her because she slowly reached out and took his hand. Her small fingers were ice cold, and Robert immediately wrapped his coat around her shoulders as he guided her to his car. They drove to a nearby diner, one of those old-fashioned places with red vinyl booths and warm lighting. Robert ordered her hot chocolate and a full meal, chicken soup, a grilled cheese sandwich, and apple pie. He watched as she ate slowly at first, then with increasing hunger, and his resolve strengthened. While Emma ate, Robert made some calls. First to his attorney, then to a social worker he knew through his charitable foundation. By the time Emma had finished her pie, he had a plan. "Emma," he said, sliding back into the booth across from her, "I have a big house, and it's just me living there most of the time. My daughter is all grown up now. Would you like to stay there tonight? It's warm, and you'll have your own room. Tomorrow, we'll work on finding you a proper home." She nodded, a flicker of hope in her eyes. That night, Robert set Emma up in his daughter's old room. He found some of Sarah's childhood pajamas still tucked in a drawer, and they fit well enough. He made sure she had extra blankets, a nightlight, and told her he'd be just down the hall if she needed anything. As he was about to leave, Emma called out softly, "Mr. Robert?" "Yes, sweetheart." "Why are you being so nice to me?" Robert paused in the doorway, thinking about his own life, about all the blessings he'd received, and how easy it would have been to walk past that bus stop. "Because someone needed to," he said simply, "and because every child deserves kindness." The next day brought a flurry of activity. Robert's attorney and the social worker came to the house. They interviewed Emma, made calls to locate her aunt, and began the process of determining her legal status. It turned out Emma's aunt had essentially abandoned her, and with no other family willing to take her in, she was heading for the foster care system. Over the following weeks, something unexpected happened. Emma began to bloom. She laughed more, talked more, and slowly started to trust again. Robert found himself looking forward to coming home, to helping her with homework, to watching her favorite shows together, to the sound of her footsteps in the house. His daughter Sarah visited for Thanksgiving, and she pulled her father aside. "Dad," she said, tears in her eyes, "I see the way you look at her. I see how happy you both are. You should make this permanent." Robert had been thinking the same thing. He'd been alone since his wife passed 5 years ago, throwing himself into work to fill the emptiness. But Emma had reminded him what mattered most. The adoption process took nearly a year, with background checks, home studies, and court appearances. Through it all, Emma stayed with Robert, and their bond grew stronger each day. On a spring morning, they stood in a courtroom as the judge made it official. Emma Grace Mitchell was now his daughter, legally and in every way that mattered. As they left the courthouse, Emma slipped her hand into his. "Dad," she said, testing out the word. "Yes, sweetheart? Thank you for stopping that night. Thank you for seeing me." Robert knelt down and pulled her into a hug, his eyes wet. "Thank you for letting me be your dad. You saved me just as much as I saved you." Now, 5 years later, Robert often thinks about that snowy night. Emma is thriving in middle school, playing soccer, making friends, being the child she was always meant to be. His life is fuller and richer than he ever imagined possible. Sometimes, when they drive past that bus stop, Emma will point it out. "That's where everything changed," she'll say, and Robert will nod, squeezing her hand. "That's where we found each other." He learned something important that winter night. That the most valuable things in life can't be bought or sold. That kindness costs nothing but means everything. And that family isn't always about blood. It's about showing up, about choosing to care, about opening your heart when someone needs it most. Emma taught him that it's never too late to change a life, or to let your own life be changed in return.